Hello and welcome back to Foos Entertainment. This time for my review of 1980's Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. This is, unless a Star Wars film impresses me more than this one, will always be my favorite of all of the Star Wars films. This is almost quite literally a perfect movie in the fact that it does have a lot of story to tell, ties into other related films very, very well, and has the perfect balance of romance, themes, good themes, and dark and sinister themes brought very brilliantly to life in a sense of a flow of gothicness. I think that's, in a lot of ways, the best way to describe the attraction to The Empire Strikes Back. So the favorite one growing up, it still is. Even in my older age. All I can say is, this film always brings back memories when I was a child. I watched that VHS tape from CBS when they had that collector's edition release of episode 4, 5, and 6. In that very cool, very popular, and if you have it in mint condition, you can actually get a lot of money for it off of eBay and the internet because it's worth a lot. Why did I like it so much? I think I like it a lot because the lightsaber duels between Skywalker and Vader are just amazing. But watching this film in sequence with the previous 6 films that take place before it is definitely cool. Because really, in my older age, I always did watch episodes 1 through 6 in order. But with the installments of the in-between movies, Solo, A Star Wars Story, and Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, in between Episode 4 and Episode 3, definitely does add a little bit more of a gem to this movie. I also kind of like, the reveal of I am your father. That was kind of, still is shocking in movie history. Not as shocking when you already know that Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker and is Luke Skywalker and Leia's father. But it still does not make it less of an iconic moment in movie history. When our hero finds out that the villain is his father. The action sequences in this movie are amazing. And this movie's just so exciting. It's like it never ever knows how to let up. And that's something that I liked about this Star Wars movie above all the other movies. All the other movies have so much story to tell that sometimes the story takes all the spotlight. Sure, there's action sequences throughout the movie, and it definitely does play well. But what's interesting about Empire Strikes Back is it has a lot of story, but its main concentration and focus is on the excitement of the experience of the movie, with the action sequences and the characters. And I think that's what makes this film so much better than all the other ones. At least in my opinion. There we go, that's why I like this one. Now let's go into the premise of the film. I say that it goes in conclusion with the previous episode 4, A New Hope. So let's go ahead and count our fingers. 1977 to 1978 would be 1 year. 78 to 79 would be 2 years. 79 to 80 would be 3 years. So it takes place 3 years after the events of Star Wars: A New Hope. Makes a lot of sense that it does. Luke Skywalker has definitely become a big, essential asset to the rebellion. So has Solo and Chewbacca. And Vader has gotten obsessed with tracking down Skywalker. This is all told in the pre-title, the title sequence. It's told in the subnasets going into the movie. But this is pretty much the plot of the movie. While in hiding, Vader is searching for the rebellion, for the resistance, so he could capture Luke Skywalker. Because he's fascinated and obsessed with him. Now I just said that, but I'm just going into the story now. They do find him. There is an all-out battle all over the place, on the ground and in space, while the rebellion, the resistance, and all the rebels are escaping captivity from the Empire. The Force Spirit of Obi-Wan Kenobi has instructed Skywalker to go to the Dagobah system. It's never actually been told what the planet is actually called that Yoda's on, but he wants Luke to go ahead and get trained by Yoda, the most powerful Jedi Master of all time, as we all know from previous episodes. So he goes to the Dagobah system, meets up with Yoda, is stranded on the planet with his craft pretty much underneath and submerged underneath water. He needs to get it out. Meanwhile, the Millennium Falcon with Solo, Leia, Chewbacca, as well as C-3PO and R2-D2 is being pursued by Vader throughout the galaxy. They evade capture a lot and outsmart the competition. With the Millennium Falcon have taken so much damage and the hyperdrive not working, they go to a nearby system known as the Lando Calrissian system. Lando, of course, being the same Lando Calrissian that Solo teamed up with in Solo: A Star Wars Story, which took place 3 films before this one. And I guess looking at this film, I can correct myself from previous review. I would say that it could be anywhere between anywhere between 7 to 15 years before the events of Star Wars: A New Hope when it comes to Solo: A Star Wars Story. But we'll never know the timeline completely. But it hooks back up with Lando. Doesn't really trust Lando. No one does. And they find out it's actually a trap. And that Vader's already there waiting for him. They are all captured. They're all captured. And Vader actually goes to the extent of putting Solo into expanded animation by sewing him in hypersleep through, let's see, I remember what it's called. This is a weird name, that's why it's taking me a second. Carbonite. Freezing him in carbonite. And of course, Lando gets a change of heart, tries to help Leia and Chewbacca to go ahead and reacquire Solo to be thawed out. Tyler Bet, the bounty hunter that we are familiar with from previous episodes, gets away with Solo's frozen body to take to Jabba the Hutt. Meanwhile, all this is happening, and they have blazer battles and all that stuff while all this is going on with those characters. Luke comes into face-to-face confrontation with Vader and has some of the best lifesaver matches and duels of the entire franchise. And we see the full extent of Vader's force powers being used against Luke. He gets thrown out of balconies and stuff like that, which eventually leads to Vader cutting his hand off with the lightsaber, and then exposing, "I'm your father." Luke, not knowing he's going to die or not, falls off the cliff into oblivion and ends up somehow using his force powers or something into a conduit passageway that leads him to the outside of pretty much this compounds of the city that he was in, which is run by Lando. Not knowing how long it'll take for him to fall literally to his death, he uses his force powers to call Leia to rescue him, and Leia and the Millennium Falcon does. And of course, like we see in Star Wars, is he gets a new hand and blah blah blah. Then they make plans to reacquire Solo, and that's pretty much the plot of the movie. Solo and Leia fall madly in love, which of course plays an integral part in the next few episodes. It is hinted at in this movie that Leia is Luke's sister. But of course, we already know that. But like I said, these movies are made backwards. Audio and video quality. The video quality on this one is amazing. Does not fall short of absolute amazement. The picture quality is outstanding. This film, it keeps that gothicness going about it, which is what it's supposed to look like, while keeping a nice cool temperature, which is not so much like the last one. The last one was more neutral and warm temperatured. This one is more cool temperatured, but very, very good AC transfer in this. This is a special edition. It was released in 1997, but with add-on stuff in it, because this is the third generation of 4, 5, and 6 with the Star Wars episodes, because they did redo them like 3 times. Sorry, everything kind of yeah, that was pretty good picture quality. The audio, wow. Whoever keeps mixing these Star Wars movies, except for the exception of Solo, which wasn't all that great, because Disney compresses the audio down so much. But this movie, the audio plays a big character in the experience of this movie. Lots of good surround effects going around the room. They're very realistic and very real-like, and like you're there. The stereo mixes are good. Mono mix is good. Even more impactful amplified effect from the subwoofer in this movie than in A New Hope. Overall, just a great experience. Well, that's my views on 1980s The Empire Strikes Back. Also in Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Do you like the movie? Do you not like the movie? Have you seen it? Have you not seen it? As always, subscribe, check back from time to time, and I will see you guys next time for my review of 1982's Star Wars Episode 6, The Return of the Jedi. Until then.